Hey there, Cosmic Warriors, and welcome back to another video. And if you are new here, my name is Hannah. I am a Western Practical Astrologer. Okay, so in today's video, we are going to be talking all about this upcoming Jupiter in Gemini. Yes, we are about a month away from this new astrological shift. Very excited to share this information with you all today. Thank you so much for being here. So I'm going to just present to you. I hope you are doing well, by the way. I hope you're having a lovely week. Of course, it is Mercury Day, and we're here talking about Gemini. Okay, Mercury ruled. So Jupiter is going to enter this sign on the 25th of May, and it will be there until June 2025. Fascinating stuff, because not long after that, Uranus is going to follow the same path as Jupiter by entering Gemini as well. So definitely new exciting shifts are coming. Okay. So just to let you know, before we really do get stuck in, I want to let you know about some astrology products that I have available. I've got eBooks, guides, cheat sheets, all that good stuff. All the links to these products will be in the description box down below. And if you do wish to book a reading with me, then you can visit my website, hannahselsewhere.com. And if you do wish to gain access to new content early, ad-free, okay, free of ads, then you can join the Patreon. Of course, you can also gain access to daily forecasts over there. There's also a lot of behind the scenes videos up. There are actually over 30 videos now. But yes, if you're interested, you can sign up. The link is also in the description box. And thank you so much to my patrons for all of your support. Right, so here we go. Jupiter in Gemini. So what I have done in order to really just simplify things, maybe give you some information to chew on, to think about, to reflect upon, I have pretty much categorized Jupiter and Gemini by showing you keywords. The keywords tied to Jupiter, and then these keywords tied to Gemini. So thinking about those characteristics and traits that often are shown via this sign. Now, the first thing that I do just want to mention, actually, is really the value and the importance that is duality. So I wanted to take a moment to talk about duality, because this is so much what Gemini is about. This is so much what Gemini teaches us as a collective. And think about it like this. We go from Aries to begin with, and then Taurus. So Aries is the first sign, Taurus is the second sign, and then we come to Gemini, and this is the third sign. But you see, when the first two coming out together, this then within itself is a representation of what Gemini is about, because Gemini comes in third place, but the 1 + 1 actually equals the 3. So Gemini really guides us toward this understanding of duality, in that, well, pretty much everything in existence has a dual side, right? This opposite side. Think of it as, okay, you've got hot and cold. You've got the north and the south. So the North Pole, the South Pole. We've got west and east. So you can see the duality playing out here. And you even think about the human body and how we have like these two sides to us, right? So I've got 2 hands, I've got 2 feet, 2 legs, 2 arms, so this is really what Gemini teaches us. It's this understanding of duality, and that we live in a dual world. Even thinking about that sort of the separation, if you will, between heaven and earth. You can look at it through so many different angles and lenses, but the important thing to keep in mind then is that Gemini teaches us so much about seeing that there are different ways to view things. See, Gemini is this mutable air sign, and it's so much about being open, being open to new ideas, new thoughts, new information. It's like, give me all of the information, let me know. Gemini is not the type of sign that will close itself off to new information and insights coming through, because this is what this sign is about. Kind of think of it as the twins. Of course, the twins being the symbol of Gemini. As one twin may know a few sort of facts and information, exciting information, the other twin then goes and ventures off and then comes back and brings that information to the previous twin, to the first twin, and then, vice versa. So what we really learn about Gemini is the importance of sort of balancing both sides, or being able to take both sides into consideration. And it's interesting because you could also say that this is a very Libra thing as well, right? And what's even further fascinating to me about this is we start with Aries, of course, but as soon as Aries begins the zodiac wheel, Libra instantly comes into action, right? Because they sit within the Aries Libra axis. And again, what is this? Duality, right? The duality that is Aries versus Libra. But here's the difference that I want to say about, or between Gemini and Libra. Libra is more about the polarity. So it's that unifying principle of the two. But Gemini is the duality, and it shows us that separation. But it's also about both, right? It's about both. It's about being able to, at times, recognize that, yes, there is separateness, but there's also this sort of underlying principle, or this sort of magnet that joins us together and connects us, really connects us. Still, both of these signs are able to explore new ideas. But especially with Gemini is very versatile, very, very versatile. So you could find, with all this talk about duality and everything, you could find that whilst Jupiter is in Gemini, you will recognize these lessons. They will keep coming up. And I think there will be so much wisdom to do with these things. So much wisdom about duality, and even that kind of the polar opposites, the separation, things like this. And when we may more so come from a negative, way of expressing this energy, this is when we can get caught in a bit of a pickle. We can, for example, we can perhaps not really integrate the two, or we could get into this place of me versus you. This is right, this is wrong, this is positive, this is negative. I don't agree with you, you're wrong, and yes, of course, it's okay to agree and disagree, what have you. But it's more about whenever we engage in too much of the finger pointing, the blaming, the I'm not the problem, you're the problem, or the picking of sides, this type of stuff, right? Because when we also add another layer of this duality to the dual sign that is Gemini, this is where we notice the kind of the potentialities for gossip, the potentialities for stirring the pot, right? It's like, oh, well, I heard from blah, 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 blah that you did, so there can be that quality to this sign. And it's really interesting to me because I've been watching this series. It's called Feud. It's created by Ryan Murphy, who also created the American Horror Story series. And in this series, it's basically about the two Hollywood actresses, so thinking about classic Hollywood, Joan Crawford and Betty Davis. And I looked up both of their charts. So essentially, both of these ladies, they were rivals. They were rivals. This went on for 4 decades. They could not stand each other. They were constantly trying to outshine each other, etc., etc. And a lot of the stirring of the pot happened because of the tabloids, because of the press. And hearsay, and she said this, he said this, all of that kind of stuff. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is because when I looked at their charts, both of these ladies had their moon in Gemini conjunct Pluto in the 8th house, right? They both actually shared the same sun, moon, and rising. Very fascinating to me. Both of them had Scorpio rising, sun in Aries. So you can see the Mars qualities there with both of them, the ruthlessness, the competitiveness, this type of stuff, the sneakiness, stabbing each other in the back, the sabotage, this type of stuff, when we really lean into that kind of really negative expression of Scorpio and Aries. But then Pluto, of course, being one of the chart rulers for both of them, the Pluto and Gemini generation back then, conjunct their moon. Pluto conjunct the moon in their 8th house. So the secrecy, the kind of conniving, trickery, stuff like that. And of course, a lot of it then was fueled by, as I was saying a moment ago, the press, people stirring the pot, people getting involved. And this is the whole point I'm trying to get to, that when we think about Gemini in this other way, it can show up as being quite trickster, the trickster, the manipulator, the thief, the cunning individual, or archetype rather, that can sort of play mind games. There could be mind games with this energy. So I'm saying all of this because Jupiter entering this sign, we could see the expansion of these qualities, right? What does Jupiter do? Jupiter expands the qualities of whatever sign it's in, and that could be for better or for worse. And I hope that I'm coming across in a Gemini midheaven way, because that's my midheaven. Midheaven is in Gemini. I hope I'm coming across in a Gemini midheaven way by explaining the duality, right? There are positives and negatives to all signs, right? I'm not just going to share all of the good or all of the bad. Now, before I do continue on, I just want to say hello, everyone. Welcome. Hi. So, Kat, you say you've got a Gemini rising. It's hard not to play devil's advocate even when you truly believe the opposite to be true. That is such a big Gemini thing. Yeah, devil's advocate. I think, that is a good thing, because it shows that curiosity, and it shows as well that you're not going to just fit yourself into a certain box or just accept things that are true either. I think there is that genuine sort of intrigue to want to learn more, and to really see what other facts are out there that may oppose what you already know or believe to be true. So I do think that we're going to see a lot of this with Jupiter and Gemini. We're going to see a lot of that curiosity being heightened. Hello. So you say you've also got a Gemini ascendant. Woohoo. Hello to misbehaving. Hi. Welcome to you. You say you got Jupiter in Gemini as okay. So your Jupiter return is coming up then for you, Linda. Okay, great. So these are all, really sharing. Kanye has Jupiter in Gemini. You say this is the thing about Jupiter and Gemini. Jupiter, of course, also looks at our gifts, right? Our gifts, what we're talented at, So in this way, we could be really gifted with our words, really gifted with how we communicate, how we speak. It's so fascinating to me, actually, because, you were saying there about Jupiter in Gemini there, Kanye having this placement. I remember a couple of years ago, I was so curious about rappers. Like, I wanted to see, is there any sort of common thread? I'm pretty sure Tupac, Jupiter, or not, Sun in Gemini. Tupac had Sun in Gemini. And I searched other popular sort of rappers, and a lot of them Gemini placements, Gemini signatures. And you do find that, uh, with Gemini energy. It's that it's being quick-witted. It's being able to speak really fast and swiftly. It's being able to draw connections between people and places and things almost instantly. And I find that so interesting. I really enjoy that about this archetype. So going back to gifts and talents, these very things could very well come up, right? Where we may find that, hey, if we have been working on our writing, or if we've been studying a subject, things start to really take off. Maybe we are blessed. We're blessed with some luck. We're blessed with some opportunities. Doors could very well open for us during this time. Yeah, we could be great at writing lyrics. We could be really good at storytelling as well. That could be a rather significant thing during this transit, right? The storytelling from someone who has Jupiter in Gemini, I'm sure they take you on a journey, a journey with their words. And I also even want to mention that our minds, right? So our minds, it could just feel like there are so many ideas coming from our minds, and that we travel within the brain. Like we're able to sort of access different sort of thoughts that maybe we couldn't before, or we could have these huge sort of realizations about ourselves, about what we are already studying, what we're already learning about. This could also be a great time for travel. Now, of course, Gemini is more so linked to that of like short distance travel, stuff like this, but because Jupiter is the planet that rules long distance travel, it could very well be that many of us do choose to travel during this time, and it's more so to network, right? Perhaps the purpose, perhaps the reason for our travels is to network, is to get together with friends, is to socialize. Yeah, taking a trip that is more so about broadening our minds, sort of more so engaging in intellectual discussions, and maybe attending certain courses or programs, or training, right? There could be advanced training and qualifications that come up. Jupiter also is so much about how we really understand information, and how we even gain qualifications and rewards and everything from a certain practice. Yeah, it's tied to higher knowledge, it's tied to higher learning. So yeah, apply that then, and link that to what you enjoy learning about, what you are genuinely curious about as well, right? So interesting. Hello, Liv. You said that you have a Gemini midheaven as well. Okay, cool. And you've got Virgo moon and rising. Nice. And my rising sign is Virgo. It's in Virgo, but I do have Jupiter conjunct my rising. So maybe you picked up on a little bit of that, right? You said comedians as well. Yeah, that makes sense. That definitely makes sense. That comedians have the sort of Gemini wit. I haven't really looked into comedians, but I can definitely see that being a possibility. Yeah, and here's another thing. This could be a really good opportunity to learn a new language. Can I just say that? Many people could have that genuine curiosity. I want to learn a new language. And I kind of think to myself, I would love to learn Japanese. Now, personally speaking, whilst I would love to learn Japanese, I don't know if it's so realistic for me. I feel like learning a new language would be really, really hard. And that's why I respect other people who can speak more than one language. I'm just in awe. I'm in total awe. I really do wish that I knew another language like fluently. But yeah, this could be this time period of okay, time to learn a new language. You say astrology is a language. Hey, I agree with you on that. It is. It is. It's a beautiful language. It's full of symbolism. It's very artistic as well. Definitely, it's certainly a language that requires a lot of time and patience. That is a great point. Thank you for sharing that. So yes, hey, that could be another thing then. Thank you so much. That's so nice of you. But that is another thing though. It could be then that for those of us who are into astrology then, or even just different systems in this type of way, right? There could be that ability to want to just enthusiastically get in, right? That's the thing with Jupiter. Jupiter can be positive. Jupiter can look on the bright side of things. So Jupiter and Gemini, it's sort of like, I can do this, right? I can learn this. I can socialize with these people. If you're someone who maybe struggles with anxiety, or if you struggle with making friends, or maybe you can be quite shy. This is me, by the way. This is me. I can be shy. But if you're like this could be a great transit to kind of bring you out of your shell a little bit, to help you sort of push outwardly into the world and go, hi, how's it going? How are you? Gemini, you see, is a chit chatty sign. Gemini, I'm just smiling so much because I'm having fun with this. I'm really having fun talking about this archetype, and it is such a light sign, light-hearted sign. It's a sign that makes me smile when I really think about the many qualities and traits tied to it. But anyway, Gemini is the type of sign where if you if you go to a coffee shop, or if you go to maybe a clothing store, etc., what's the conversation that happens between you and the barista, or you and the person at the register? What are those sort of conversations? Because that is the chit-chattiness, that is the small talk, the hello, how are you, how's your day? Or even thinking about, the people within your local area, right? You think about how Gemini is also tied to our neighbors and to our siblings and our cousins. So these other people within our immediate environment, right? Are you the type of person who waves hello to your neighbor? Or are you the type of person who hides away because you're like, no, I don't want to do that. Not today. I don't want to say hello. I'm too shy. I'm too nervous. Right? Okay, it doesn't have to be one or the other, of course. It can also depend on our mood. It can depend on, are we in a rush, yada, yada, yada. But the point I'm trying to make is that this is what Gemini is about. Gemini is the small talker. Gemini is the one, as you were saying there, rightfully so, the social butterfly. Can be the social butterfly. I mean, of course, with the duality, whilst Gemini can be quite sort of outwardly expressive and chatty and things like this, I also think Gemini does value their, the alone time, the time in solitude, and just reading a good book. Just that time of, okay, I'm reading a good book. It's just me, and I'm going on a little journey in my brain. I'm out of the public eye for a bit, right? Yeah, and that's the thing. Jupiter in Gemini is going to be great for us to really absorb, just to take in as much information as possible. And I mean this from every angle you can think of. Wait, I need to go up. So Rihanna has Jupiter conjunct her ascendant as well. Ooh, okay. I think, doesn't Rihanna have an Aries rising and an Aries moon, and then Jupiter there as well? Whew, wow. A lot of Aries. Yeah, yes, you said so, in Aries. Indeed. Interesting. Shy is a very Virgo rising coded. Yeah. Excited for the Jupiter transit. Yes, I'm glad you're excited. Awesome. Get excited. I think that this can be, quite an inspirational, enthusiastic time, because Gemini can be really expressive and can sort of just get stuck into things. And it doesn't just have to be conversations. I mean, this could be about getting stuck into a good book, or into your cupboards and your wardrobes, and just having a look around. I think of Gemini as being so curious in this way, so curious about their environment. It's that sort of connection that you have, the relationship that you have with your environment. So what I think about with Taurus, right? Jupiter has been in Taurus for the past year, and Jupiter in Taurus has really been teaching so much, it has been teaching us so much about the importance of patience, right? Patience is a virtue. It's important to slow down. It's important to really savor what you have, and to indulge and to really enjoy life's simple pleasures, right? Taurus is the sign that says stop and smell the roses. And Taurus then kind of reminds us of the relationship that we have with the physical, with the material world. But then Gemini, you see, it's almost as if, for example, I have my little cards here, my study cards. And okay, this is a product. I bought this from the shop for a couple of pounds. I'm like, okay, yeah, there's the value of that product. I bought that product with my money. Okay, very Taurus. It's made out of paper, of course. Okay, so going back to Taurus. But the Gemini part is more like, oh, well, I'm questioning, like, what do I need this for? How long am I going to use it for? What's its function? What's its purpose? How can I sell this to someone else potentially, right? Even sales is so much about Gemini. Sales, marketing, advertising, this type of stuff. Gemini is like that, the pitch. Okay, you learn the pitch. Yeah, we could very well then be inspired in this way, inspired to kind of figure out, the best way to sell, to influence, to 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 sort of how do I say, persuade. That is the word I'm looking for. To persuade others. You ever get that? If you're speaking with someone who has Gemini placements, there can be these sort of persuasive ways that they communicate. It's almost like they're trying to persuade you to kind of see where they're coming from, or to persuade you into seeing how right. And it's almost as if at times they're selling you a dream, right? They're selling you, maybe because it's like, hey, I can see what it is that you're trying to get at here. Let me nudge you in the right direction. Let me nudge you that way a little bit. Yeah, I have noticed that kind of persuasive quality within friends that I have with Gemini placements. It's really fascinating. But the Jupiter and Gemini part of it, I feel, it's that, how do I say? It's the positivity. It's the wow, wow, look at this, wow, 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 right? It's the joy, it's the happiness, it's the giddiness, right? Just feeling uplifted, inspired by information, by communication. So interesting. So, yes, these are just a few different things that I wanted to really explain about Jupiter entering Gemini and what you can maybe expect. And of course, it's going to be very fast paced. There's going to be a lot of change, right? Gemini is this very changeable sign. Here today, gone tomorrow, right? It's that type of energy. Gemini just changes with the wind. You could know a Gemini, and then about a year later, it's almost like they have completely changed in their views, their perspectives, their style. Some people here have been saying about with having a Gemini rising. Amy, you've also joined. Hello, welcome to you. But yeah, the reason why I'm saying with Gemini rising is because this might be what's quite common for you, right? It's this whole thing of your appearance changes often, right? Your style, your fashion sense, your mannerisms could very well change. And we also see the imitation, right? Gemini can be a sign that imitates others, but it's more so, I think it's more so a subconscious thing, right? It's sort of like the mirroring, and we all do that, right? That makes total sense to me because we all mirror each other, and we do this in subtle subconscious ways. And I think a lot of it has to do with relating. It has to do with connecting with other people, even through our body language. So if, for example, if you're speaking with someone and maybe they are crossing their arms or they're facing a certain way, you could, in a subconscious way, do the same, right? You could very well do the same. But this may be happening because it's a way of trying to connect. It's trying to relate to other people. So yeah, there could be these subtleties between us as Jupiter does move through Gemini over the next year. And as I was saying a moment ago, that ever-changing quality to this sign, that I feel is going to be really interesting. And as well, I just want to say, you could very well have two or more things going on at one time. You notice this with Gemini energy. It's not enough just to start one project. You want to start another one, possibly another one, possibly another after that. And that can be really exciting. It's just anything to sort of keep the mind stimulated, because this sign can become bored very, very easily. So again, with Jupiter and Gemini, the boredom could very well heighten. Okay, that's something maybe to be cautious of or just aware of during this transit. It's that you may find that you're going to get bored really easily and you just want to jump onto the next thing, to the next thing, to the next thing. The reason why I'm saying to be cautious about that is because what you don't want to happen is, I'm speaking from experience here, by the way, Gemini midheaven. What you don't want to happen is to start so many different projects and then to spread yourself too thin. You spread yourself far too thin, and then what happens is that you become really nervous. You become scattered and then burnt out, actually, mentally burnt out, mentally drained. And you could very well just get to a point where it's like, oh my gosh, I'm doing too much. I feel zapped, just mentally zapped right now. Yeah. Yes, exactly. Even more than normal, exactly, because Jupiter expands whatever sign it's in. So we could see this. And that also then leads on to that other thing, that you were saying in the comments about the jack of all trades, but a master of none. That can be a very Gemini thing. Now, of course, when it comes to this, the beauty of Gemini is that Gemini can sort of just learn something from over here, pick up this thing over here, right? There is beauty in starting many projects and having this kind of curiosity to us, where we want to learn and learn and learn and try different things, and we can pick up, this bit from here and there, whatever. But if it gets to a point where it's not realistic, it's not practical, it's not helpful for us, then that's when we run into problems, of course. And then, of course, the other thing about it is, with being a jack of all trades and a master of none, because you're not really finalizing or finishing things, then it can be sort of difficult to master a subject or to become an expert within a subject. Now, with that being said, we don't have to either. We don't have to become experts within all of the subjects that we learn about. It's just more about, okay, what do you want? It brings it back to, what are your intentions? What do you want from this transit? And I'm just really presenting the energies that will be floating about during the time. And just to inform you and to help you out a little bit, and to hopefully provide some guidance with this transit. But what I will also say is, we could be very alert, alert and fast with our words, quick-witted, very sharp, pretty chatty, pretty talkative. Again, it sort of goes back to, if maybe you're not really like this so much, this could be a perfect transit to kind of help you out there. And there's going to be a lot of wisdom, I feel, a lot of wisdom and growth that will come from communication or via communication, okay? And of course, the other thing is, with Jupiter, it's so much about exploration. So our exploration via Jupiter during this transit will involve perhaps knowing your communication skills, right? Involves curiosity, humor, our many ideas. That's another thing, humor. Humor. Yeah, someone else said in the comments about comedians. That is very interesting, because, hey, this is something I do think about our Mercury placement. Our Mercury placement can tell us so much about our humor. And do we get the joke? What types of jokes do we get? Do we sort of engage with? But then this can obviously be very different to other people's humor. So what makes you laugh is a very sort of Mercury thing, I think. But Gemini within itself then can be the sign that shows us, okay, laughter, not taking ourselves super seriously either. I really like this about Jupiter and Gemini, actually, for many of us. Just some time period of, okay, try not to take it too seriously, and lightheartedness. This, of course, is not to say that Gemini doesn't have a serious side, because, again, it goes back to duality. Just bring it back to that. Gemini can also be serious at times. It's interesting because my partner has Moon in Gemini, and I see the very two different sides of him that play out at times. It's so interesting. But yeah, or the many sides. Hey, multifaceted Gemini, definitely. Very good with their hands. That's another thing. Make use of this, perhaps this transit, with using your hands, right? Certain crafts or, art, etc., being very creative. And of course, with Jupiter as well, it's so much about meaning and inspiration. So we're going to find a lot of our meaning in learning, and we're going to be inspired by learning. And then some gifts may include being versatile, being multifaceted, being very articulate as well. Articulate and inventive. These are also words tied to this sign. Indeed, yeah, being inventive and seeking opportunities within the information that we read. And our intellectual abilities may be larger than life. Feeling blessed then is going to be tied to our wit, to our connections. And the last kind of thing I'm going to say, well, one of the last things is Perhaps teaching, presenting, advertising, reporting, these types of things are really going to be heightened around this time period. So it would behoove us to make use of this. And then the other thing I want to say is it is likely that, as I was trying to say a moment ago, we can be scattered. And this is the last thing I just want to mention. We could very well be unfocused, distracted. That is a big thing with Gemini. Being distracted. It's like, it can be hard to get our head in the game, hard to really focus on things. So maybe instead of, battling with ourselves when it comes to this energy, it would be more beneficial to us to work with it, right? To consider, okay, well, what is it about this thing that I'm not really feeling right now? Can I come back to it later? And then just again, being cautious of how many projects you start rather than spreading yourself too thin. Okay, so I feel like I've talked a lot about this transit overall of what to potentially expect, but we're going to break a few other things down and then we're going to get into your horoscopes. Thank you for being here, everyone. It's great to have you. Yeah, brilliant. Thank you so much for being here. Thanks for checking in and for watching. Okay, rightio. So the last time Jupiter was in Gemini was from June 2012 until June 2013. So try to think back to that time. Of course, that was 12 years ago. Think back to that time and consider, okay, were there common themes? Were there common situations that came up tied to those other sort of qualities that I mentioned? What happened for you? I'm trying to reflect on my own experience, and here's an interesting thing from my own experience. Consider, of course, then where Gemini is within your chart. So, like I was saying, I've got Gemini in the 10th house. And June 2012 was actually when I moved over to Australia. I traveled over to Australia and stayed there for a few months. And then I traveled on to the United States and I stayed there for a much longer period of time over there. Basically, travel. I traveled. That could be a thing with Jupiter and Gemini because with travel, you could relocate. You could physically relocate to a different country, a different area, because hey, Gemini is tied to our local area, our local environment, this, our city, our town that we live in. So with Jupiter could be that kind of spreading your wings, broadening your horizons, completely changing your local area or your location in this way. So that's fascinating. And with the 10th house for me, of course, that is so much about career and vocation and these types of things. And that experience that I just shared was tied to university because it was part of a sandwich year. I think that's how it's called. I could be wrong on that, but it was a work experience year, which is also interesting because Jupiter is tied to higher education. It's tied to higher learning. So the higher learning, the higher education was linked to the travel and the relocating, but those things within themselves were more so about, okay, this is your trajectory, Hannah. This is about where you're headed and, your vocation, these types of things, because I did study. So my degree is in travel and tourism management. And that was my direction back then. I really did think, right, okay, I'm going to work within the travel industry. Let's do it. I'm going to work within the tourism industry. Wow. Isn't that so fascinating? So yes, think back to that time of what was happening for you. And hello, welcome to Goddess Essence. Welcome to you. Thank you for joining. You said you've got Gemini, Sun, and Venus there. Whoa, Jupiter's going to be right on your Sun and Venus. Happy, happy, happy. Okay, dates. So dates of this one. 25th of May 2024 until June 2025. And then here's the banger. Here is the kicker, the showstopper. Uranus is going to enter Gemini July, right? So a month after this transit ends, Uranus is going to enter Gemini. It will be there from July until November. And then, of course, it's going to retrograde and everything back into Taurus for a little bit. And then by April of 2026, Uranus will have entered Gemini. So think about the trajectory right now, right? Think about these new opportunities coming up to do with learning, to do with communication, networking, socializing, these types of things, publishing, media, social media, right? Very much a Gemini territory thing. But yes, think about these opportunities. Think about the travels of your mind and the many big, bright ideas that are going to come up. Because the thing about Uranus is going to come along and it's also going to like fuel that. It's going to sort of bring more of an innovative feel, more of a breakthrough, more of a flash, like these epiphanies after epiphanies. It's like, wow, oh my gosh, because we were able to make use of the Jupiter and Gemini transit, Uranus then can help boost more of that or bring more of this sort of excitable, really over inspiring, like, yes, I can do this. And seeing everything in this flash and having all of these perspectives, right? Because Uranus is so much about our higher mind. Of course, Jupiter is also about that. We got to keep that in mind. Jupiter is also about that. But I just find that so fascinating that Uranus is going to come along and it's going to add innovation and a lot of change, a lot of social change. So yes, but of course, we do want to keep in mind with this that with so much of this sort of mental energy, especially with Jupiter, because Jupiter tends to expand with whatever it touches, it could feel overwhelming, and not every fleeting idea that we have is worth sort of starting or worth doing. That's another thing. It really depends on so many other factors, of course, with this, because this is where your personal chart needs to be taken into consideration, sort of what aspects are happening. I mean, I know for me, I have 3 planets in Aquarius, and so Jupiter and Uranus are going to create trines to my Aquarius planets between my 6th and my 10th houses. So there's going to be a lot coming up here to do with how I reinvent myself, how I innovate within matters related to career, vocation, purpose, health, my everyday habits and routines, these types of things. I'm personally excited for it. I'm excited. But of course, hey, Goddess Essence, you said it brilliantly there. You said, take care of your nervous system, your mind. Yes, yes, yes. Take care of it, because that is the thing. We could very well just be so overstimulated. Hey, we already see this, don't we? We already see that we are overstimulated by social media and information, and on to the next one, this type of thing. It could be over consuming, right? It's just too overwhelming. It's too much. So yeah, I would definitely agree with that indeed it would behoove us to look after our minds. Yes, our mental well-being is going to be so important, and to be able to regulate our nervous system. But here's the thing I want to say. I think that Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus has been a great way for us to put those building blocks in place to help us with these transits. I generally think that, especially with Jupiter and Taurus, as Jupiter starts to make its way through Taurus over the next couple of weeks and then it enters Gemini, I think what's going to come up a lot for many of us is that of, okay, well, what have I learned about grounding myself? What have I learned about really being able to tune into my body? Because that's the thing, Taurus is so much more about our body and connecting with, right, our breath, and Okay. Hey, but then again, Gemini within itself is related to the breath. So yeah, but still the slowness, it's that bringing awareness to the breath, to the body, to our mind body connection. So all of this is to say, I think that this transit with Jupiter and Taurus has assisted us with this, has aided us to kind of help us recognize, when do I need to slow down? And those techniques can be brought forward, can be carried forward into this transit, I think. Okay, on first arrival, we've got Jupiter in Gemini making a trine to Pluto retrograde in Aquarius. So this is going to be the first of our lifetime with this particular trine, with this particular aspect. Yeah, there could be something pretty groundbreaking or transformative to do with networking or socializing, especially when we consider over the past, with Saturn being in Aquarius the past few years, and the real sort of restrictions that were placed on us, these types of things. Perhaps this could be like a motivational time, a time of, this call to action, or this call of, hey, you know what, I want to really spread my wings. I want to really connect with people within my communities. I want to find my tribe. I want to find who I relate to the most, right? And it's taking your time to really figure that out, I think, especially with Pluto being retrograde. It's kind of taking your time and thinking, okay, well, who do I align with on an intellectual way? And who do I consider myself, to get on with well, or, who is like-minded to me? But then also who challenges me in really healthy ways? These types of questions could come up. Now, the other thing is just a couple of extra things. Jupiter will square Saturn retrograde, and this is going to be in August. And then Jupiter retrograde will square Saturn direct in December. So I'm not going to get into too much about this, because I feel like the information to do with these transits, it's more so going to be relevant closer to the time, and I'm sure I'll talk about them at some point, especially over on my Patreon, because with the daily forecast, I talk about these things. I do in detail, thorough, etc. Anyway, yes, with the squares, I want to mention something important. So there is something known as a great conjunction in astrology. This is when Jupiter and Saturn join together and they create a conjunction. And this happens every 20 years. And the thing is that the most recent conjunction we experienced between Jupiter and Saturn was December 2020. And that was in Aquarius at 0 degrees, right? 0 degrees. So very potent, very fresh, very powerful. So basically, what we are coming up to right now is this first square within this period, right? The first square. So there's going to be some challenges, right? Some challenges related to that of opportunity, success, growth. There could be some restrictions, some limitations. These types of things are going to come up for us. And just in an overall sense, with the Great Conjunction, it's really about opportunity. It's about persevering, having this persevering attitude to succeed, and thinking about the hard work that we put in that can be expanded on. And then at the same time, our bigger picture ideas can be grounded. So this is really about some luck and some struggle. Great perspectives can be gained, which will last a long time, last for a long time. So yeah, that conjunction could really have, been the start of a new success story for you within your Aquarius house. But as we come up to the first square, we are noticing some challenges, but also an ability to overcome. So as I say, With the squares themselves, there'll be one in August, there'll be one in December. I will talk more about those closer to the time, but I just wanted to share those with you so you can look those up. But then the last thing I want to mention just briefly, Jupiter retrograde is going to be from October 2024 until February 2025. You know the drill with retrogrades, retrace our steps, take a closer look, revision, etc. So yeah, we're basically going to go from Jupiter entering Gemini in May. So it's going to be May, 25th of May. And then the retrograde is going to be October 2024. And I'm sure I will keep you posted about post shadow period, stuff like this closer to the time. Right, so the last main points that I want to talk about is that of the dispositor of Jupiter. The dispositor of Jupiter is important to follow, and that is Mercury, right? Mercury, we got to follow Mercury throughout the year to see how this transit is going to really unfold for us in perhaps more personal ways based on our houses, but very personal ways based on our placements. So thinking about what placements you have, your unique chart, etc. Hello, hi there, Irene. Welcome to you. Hello to you as well, Aries Rainbow Child, everybody else who's joining. Thank you for being here. Angela, hello. Yes, this is the thing. It can be nervous energy. It can be this very nervous energy. You say anxious though as well. Yeah, exciting, but it's also like, woo. Anyway, right. On first arrival, Mercury will be in Taurus. So, hey, this to me suggests that when Jupiter does first enter Gemini, there's going to be a sense of greater calm and greater ease because our actual mind will be more about, okay, right? There's going to be some lessons that are going to come up over the next year within my Gemini house. Things are going to be expanded on. And what wisdom am I going to learn? What blessings are going to come up? How might I go overboard here within my Gemini house? Will I be scattered? You know, as you were saying there, Angela, will I be quite anxious, etc. You know, but with Mercury, of course, Mercury is much more personal than Jupiter. But Mercury is the mind, that, you know, our mindset, the way we think, the way we process information. It's also tied to our nervous system. So I feel like that is going to be quite useful to us in that we can perhaps just, okay, we'll settle. I just feel like we're going to settle into the transit more. It's not going to be so bumpy, so turbulent perhaps. Hey, but the other thing is, here's the other thing about it. Mercury then will eventually start to conjunct Uranus, and then also what's coming up for us is a Mercury-Jupiter conjunction. So it could also be where, this is the thing, I want to take a step back. We've had the Jupiter-Uranus conjunction in Taurus. So that was at its strongest, its most powerful, around the 20th of April / 21st of April, depending on where you are in the world. So that conjunction is so much about a 14-year cycle, to do with innovation, breakthroughs, larger than life sort of visions, right? Having this very visionary perspective, seeing the bigger picture, and really relating these things to that of our materials, our resources, our physical security, right? So our body as well. So a lot has been coming up. But then as we start to come up to Jupiter entering Gemini, with Mercury then approaching the same place that the conjunction was at, I think that, so around, I would say, coming into June, early June, I think that can be quite a beneficial time for us to really go over, all right, well, what's the plan? You know, what's the plan? All the stuff to do with the conjunction, as you know, recently, our mind then is more about, okay, well, how can I actually put a solid plan in place Or how can I think about, my future in this regard, especially because Uranus is also about the future. It's about being able to kind of have this vision of, okay, well, these are my hopes, these are my dreams, etc. But Taurus then adds that, find this sort of grounded ability, the ability to see, right, okay, well, what resources do I need, etc. So that could be quite useful to us. So I wanted to say that. But the other thing then is, like I was saying, Mercury and Jupiter conjunct. Ha ha ha. Radio. This is going to happen on the 4th of June, 2024 in Gemini. And this is starting a new 12 to 14 month cycle. So for the majority of Jupiter being in Gemini, this is a cycle. This is all part of it, right? Mercury is also a part of this. So this is a cycle to do with mental growth. This is a cycle about social and network opportunities. I really, really like that Mercury's coming along near the very beginning of this transit, and it's inviting this whole new cycle within our Gemini house, aligning with Jupiter. So this is going to be about heightened variety and curiosity, growing intellectually, sharing our bigger visions and ideas with the world, being very witty, entertaining, on top of the world with our words. We can say the thing that has been on the minds of everyone else around us. And this is about having the audacity to come out with it, the audacity to tell the truth and to stand for freedom, right? To freely express what you think. Our words may be larger than life and inspirational, and we could very well be remembered for how impactful our words are. Of course, duality again. This could also look like in a not so favorable way. Okay, this could show up as arrogance. This could show up as preaching at other people, telling other people how to live their lives because you're wrong, sitting on our sort of moral high ground, like preaching to the rooftops about, this and that, about this person or that group over there. Okay, so do be cautious of that. Be mindful of that. Jupiter is the preacher. Jupiter can be the judge. Jupiter is also tied to morality, and this, of course, can be in healthy ways. But if we believe that our way is the only way and it's the only truthful way, then that's like, oh my gosh, hey, that's when we can really run into issues. So we could see this. Like shoving our ideas down other people's throats, like, listen to me, right? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Okay. On the other hand, though, praise, victory, glory, right? This is very Jupiter territory. Glory, yes. Seeing the brighter side of things. And we might want a lot of this and a lot of that, right? Because Gemini is very much this and that, this and that. A little bit over here, a little sprinkle over here. Oh, Friday. Oh, spice of life. Oh. But Jupiter is like, I want it all. I want to have this. Oh, and I also want that. Be mindful of that. Because again, it goes back to, is it realistic? Is it necessary? Really, that's another thing. Is it actually necessary? That could be, I think that could be an important thing to keep in mind. And then also biting off more than we can chew. Still, I feel as if this is going to be a time period of, being optimistic, hopeful, and uplifting, having this uplifting attitude within our Gemini house over the next year, so beginning that cycle from the 4th of June onwards. And again, it could be that this cycle, this is a new social opportunity cycle, and it's tied to things like teaching, marketing, advertising, sales, publishing, media, writing. These types of things may become a part of our growth and our aspirations. Okay, so now I have explained that. I just want to mention that in today's horoscopes, I am only going to talk about the retrograde. So with the dispositor, we're following Mercury, but do fill in the blanks. Make sure that you're following Mercury within your own chart. I'm going to touch on the three sort of major retrogrades that are going to happen. And yes, there's a part of a Mercury retrograde which is going to be in Virgo, and that's going to be August time. And there's also a part of a Mercury retrograde that's going to be in Pisces. That's going to be March time, 2025. But I'm only focusing on Leo, Sagittarius, and Aries because I want to look at these trinities, the kind of fire signs. It's fascinating as well because this year, so 2024, we're also experiencing this, right? We're currently in a Mercury retrograde in Aries, and that will finish tomorrow. And then, yes, we go to Leo and we go to Sagittarius. But again, I wanted to highlight that parts of them will be in Virgo and Pisces. Also very interesting to me because the nodes are going to be changing into Virgo and Pisces early next year. So that's going to be a part of a whole other sort of story, I feel. But anyway, I digress. We're going to be looking at that. And then lastly, just to mention, Jupiter is in detriment in Gemini. And I feel as if, what that kind of relates to is Jupiter tends to look at the bigger picture, but Gemini can more so be caught up in, details and facts. Jupiter then is more about that understanding. So there could be some conflict in this way, possibly during this transit about, do we actually understand what we're saying, or are we just, how do I say, regurgitating like what we hear? Right. And I feel as if Jupiter and Gemini is going to be really helpful for us in that, okay, maybe I am regurgitating what I hear, but how can I bring awareness to that? And how can I also think for myself? How can I take that information that, I'm getting from all these different angles and areas, bring it back to myself, and then have a good think about it? And really seek to understand it. Like, why, right? That's a big thing with Gemini. It reminds me of children, why, like, why? That is so, that is so Gemini. And that's, I feel, is going to be an important thing. So, anytime maybe you are becoming restless, right? That could be a thing with Jupiter and Gemini. You're becoming restless, you're becoming nervous. And maybe a good thing to go, or a good thing to ask yourself then is, why? Why am I feeling this way? And no, don't just say Jupiter's in Gemini, that's why. Yeah, okay, yes, I see that. I see, I do that all the time as well. I do that. But what I'm trying to get at is more of the practical approach. It's like, yes, why? Okay, Jupiter's in Gemini. I get that. Okay. But what about my actual sort of day? What have I done today that's led up to this tension, this nervousness? Like, is there anything about that? So it's sort of going, why? Even asking the question of why, and then you recognize, oh, hey, yeah, okay, why are delays happening? Oh, Mercury's retrograde. Then knowing that, having that awareness, you could still go, oh, yes, Mercury's in retrograde. I just need to lay off a little bit. I need to give it time. So, hey, that can be useful. That can be a useful way of working with that. So, anyway, let's get into your signs. Thank you for being here. That was good. I enjoyed that. Okay, I'm just going to have some water, and then we're going to get into your horoscopes. And Jupiter returns. Yes, wisdom, elevation. I actually discovered astrology during a Jupiter return. I was 24. And my life changed, completely changed. Fascinating. Okay. Yes, exactly. Yes. Finding the root and being able to review the steps. Yes, exactly. Love it. Thank you, Goddess Essence. Brilliant. We love to see it. Okay. Let's do this. And Aries. All right. Aries. Okay, Aries. So Jupiter is going to be in Gemini in your 3rd house. So for the next year, this is a great time period to make use of the many intellectual and learning opportunities that come up. I think many Aries, you are gonna wanna explore pretty much anything and everything that you find to be fascinating. And I think your own self-awareness could very well heighten, or it could be that how you connect the dots, form connections between things, how you do these things, you're going to be lit up. Swift, quick, witty, sharp, just on it. Another thing though is, hey, some Aries, you could very well relocate. This could be a transit where you do physically move, right? You move from a city to another city, a town to another town, or you move within your local neighborhood, right? You just move house then within the neighborhood that you're already living in. That could be a possibility. This could also be a pretty enthusiastic, engaging, inspiring time when it comes to siblings that you have, greater sort of joy and intrigue and interest with your siblings, and more chit chat. I just think many Aries, you could be in a very like chit chatty mood, or you can go through these big moments where you're just required to communicate quite a bit. Okay, so that could be a thing. Now, with the Mercury retrogrades throughout 2024 and 2025, so during this transit, these retrogrades are going to be within the trinity of energy for you. So your 1st house, your 5th house, your 9th house. So this, I feel, these retrogrades are going to be a good way for you to really revisit, like, what inspires you? What gets you motivated? What are you really passionate about? And I think a lot of self-reflection in this way, even thinking about how far you've already come in terms of self-development and growth, and also really getting to know yourself and getting to know what you enjoy, what brings you pleasure, what makes you smile, what lights you up, right? I feel like this is going to be a good way for you to really tap into these things and to gain a deeper perspective. Okay. Taurus. Okay, Taurus. So for you, Jupiter is going to transit your 2nd house throughout the year. So from May 2024 up until June 2025. Okay, for you, I want to think about how the 2nd house is typically your domain in terms of, okay, you traditionally would rule the 2nd house. So I think this could be a pretty exciting time for you in terms of your finances, your resources, even just being quite inventive about these things, or really broadening your horizons, right? Trying to see, okay, well, what have I not thought of yet? Big ideas are coming through, I think, for you, Taurus. And the thing about it, I feel, is that a lot of it is sort of coming from, so Jupiter has been in your sign the past year. And so I think you have already been asking yourself these bigger picture questions about your stability, about your physical security. You're so much about that. You're so much about that. And your comfort and feeling at ease, these types of qualities have really expanded and been heightened, I suppose you could say, over the past year. So we follow on then to Jupiter coming into Gemini, and I think it's sort of saying, well, I've taken my time and I've thought about these things, the meaning, tied to these areas, but what other sort of options are there now? And how can you even expand upon your skills? This could be great. This could be a really good opportunity for you to, sort of increase. That's the thing about Jupiter, it increases things. And Jupiter can also improve things. But yes, you could increase your skills. And this is so interesting to me, because Gemini in the second house, it can suggest that what you're pretty skilled at, Taurus, is selling things to other people, is working with your hands, right? It's so interesting because Taurus, you are a very creative, artistic sign. Like, as an archetype, that is what you're like. But to then also have Gemini in the second house, I feel that shows just how great you are, how skilled you are at using your hands. And that could be through painting, that could be through sewing, knitting, maybe doing just something, how do I say, that involves carpentry, so pottery, right? Pottery making, that could be a thing. So yes, I think Jupiter in Gemini could very well indicate these opportunities coming up for you, right? Opportunities to do with really developing and expanding upon your skills. Excuse me. And I also think that, Taurus, you can be great at persuading others, using the art of persuasion to maybe help other people or to assist them. But again, I think that goes back to sales. And I also think marketing is a big part of this, and advertising. Teaching could also be a particular skill that you have. So yeah, all of this is to say, Taurus, that I think this is a transit that could very well bring or usher in these new opportunities and possibilities, and greater curiosity as well on your part, and even just valuing, right? The second house is so much about valuing your creativity, or valuing your curiosity, valuing the things that you're learning about, valuing information, and feeling inspired and hopefully positive and hopeful and everything. Naturally, of course, there are different aspects to consider, and we've talked about how there will be squares to Saturn and everything else, but I'm just kind of going from, I'm looking at an overall, a sort of overview in this way. Right, so Mercury retrogrades. The Mercury retrogrades for you throughout this transit are going to be found within the trinity of emotions. So looking at your 12th house, your 4th house, and your 8th house. Oh, at the same time, Taurus, I just want to say a lot is happening for you psychologically. A lot will really unfold in terms of what is hidden, what is perhaps repressed. Certain emotions could very well rise to the surface. Fears could also be activated, but it's also about how you learn from them. But yes, taking a closer look at hidden matters, hidden areas, and also thinking about your emotional security and your emotional well-being overall. Rest, being able to recharge, to relax, right? I feel like for many, Taurians, this is a year where it's a good opportunity for you to have a decent reset, this emotional reset. So Gemini next. For all my Gemini risings in the audience, because I remember looking through the chat and so many of you were saying you have Gemini risings. At least I think that's what I saw. Yeah, okay. Gemini. All right. You're the star, of course, because this is your transit, right? It's go time. This is going to be wonderful, inspiring, inspirational, exciting, full of curiosity, just bursting at the seams with all of these these ambitions and aims, and just having this I can do this energy, right? Being this trailblazer, being this pioneer, if you will, and really having this oomph, right? This oomph, this optimism to make things happen. Now, naturally, we got to think about the trajectory of the other planets and aspects, always, always. But when we think about Jupiter being in the first house, it's just this larger than life energy. It's broadening your horizons. It's wanting to understand information. It's wanting to connect people, places, and things. Yeah, you could very well even travel quite a bit. You could be networking with really fascinating people, right? And it's interesting because I was saying in the overall, the overview of Jupiter and Gemini, I was talking about possibly learning a different language. Maybe you do this. Maybe you do this, Gemini, right? You literally decide, hey, I want to learn a different language, a new language. Or it could be that you just go on this huge self-discovery journey. There's just so much about you, right? Because this is the first house. It's the house of self. It's the house of your identity. And I think a lot of this is going to prepare you for what's to come, when Uranus enters your sign as well, with things being very innovative and the huge sort of sudden changes and shifts that are up ahead, so Jupiter and Gemini, I think, could just be a good opportunity for you to do all of the exploring, to explore, to discover, to travel, to get out there, to get out there, and to also even think about how you travel within your mind and how you form connections and patterns. Yeah, it's almost like you're going to be able to take a bigger look, or to zoom out within particular areas and to really see things for what they are. There could be great wisdom in this way for you coming through. Now, with the retrogrades, so Mercury retrograde is going to happen within the trinity of socializing for you throughout this transit. So that's going to be in your third house, your seventh house, and your 11th house. I mean, the trinity of socializing, and then it's about Gemini. Honestly, I think Gemini is the sign that is going to be seen here, there, and everywhere. You're going to be on all the advertisements. You're going to be in the news. People are going to be talking about you. But the thing is that you're also going to be the one who is taking charge and chatting and initiating and really wanting to make things happen, possibly being that trailblazer within audiences, amongst your fans as well. Your fans are really gonna stop for a second and just be like, wow, oh my gosh, you're so intelligent, you know what you're talking about, you really seem to know what you're doing. Yeah, and it could also be that, business matters and deals and contracts, these types of things, they're really going to be highlighted. But of course, with Mercury being retrograde, do keep in mind that review, right? The ability to go over the facts and the figures before you make any final decisions. That can be helpful. Oh, and you said, okay, so you asked me, did I go to Kibler College? I think I've heard of that. That's an astrology college, isn't it? I'm pretty sure, but no, I didn't. I'm pretty sure it's an astrology college. From what I've noticed about it, it looks incredible. But yeah, I mean, you're saying that you're thinking of going, wow, go for it. Go for it. I'm sure you'll learn so much. And perfect for you because you've got Gemini. Higher education, that could be a thing for many Gemini risings, right? Or just, Gemini Sun Moon rising. It's different programs, courses, these types of things. Right, so Cancer. Where are we? Cancer. All right, Cancer. So Jupiter is going to transit your 12th house from May 2024 until June 2025. What I think this is going to sort of highlight for you is that of the travels of the subconscious. I like the sound of this for you because I think this is going to be a great opportunity for you to explore your dreams, your visions, the connections and the patterns and the themes and things. What I love about Cancerian energy is the ability to see cycles in things. It's this sign that is so much about cycles. We think about the moon, especially the phases of the moon, the different cycles that the moon goes through. So this, I feel, can be a good opportunity for you to go behind the scenes, right? To go into solitude, very 12th house territory, to go into solitude and to do a lot of studying, a lot of researching, to look at symbolism, to assess the cycles and patterns, to even really pay attention to what connections you're drawing, right? I sort of see this as your subconscious is just going to be, it's going to be so inspired. It's going to be inspired to see messages and meanings anywhere you go. And what I also enjoy about, well, a couple of things. What I enjoy about Jupiter in the 12th house is this is often seen as a guardian angel placement. So people who have Jupiter in the 12th house, which in the Placidus system, Jupiter is in my 12th house, but often it's seen as the guardian angel placement in that you could be in a really sticky situation. And then it's almost like, oh my gosh, out of nowhere, you're saved, you're rescued, you're blessed, you get out of it. You get out of it and you learn so much from that experience. So this could be this sort of time period of really feeling like you're being guided, right? You're being supported by angels, by your spirit guides, by these sort of spiritual principles and things like this, by God, right? Could also be that, you really pray a lot during this time. If you're religious, you really do tap into that and you connect with your religious values and principles and your morality and everything, with your code of ethics, this type of stuff. You really just take a lot of time to think about this stuff and to refine it and to make sense of it. And then as well, if you are a really spiritual person, yeah, same kind of thing, it's a great time then to really take part in these spiritual practices. But those spiritual practices, I think, they are also linked to that of learning and curiosity. So you could learn something new, right? A new spiritual practice. For example, you could take on a new course like is it Reiki? Is that how I'm pronouncing it correctly? I hope, is it Reiki? Or I'm trying to think of other yoga, that could be another thing, or meditation could be another thing. So yeah, just as certain examples, numerology could be something that you really dabble into, human design, more astrology, these types of things. Okay. But the other thing I want to mention, so kind of going back to what I was saying a moment ago, the 12th house also lands, and I feel like it's interesting because Jupiter 9th house stuff is also about long distance travel. But the 12th house also is about travel within its own way, I find. And so I think, there could be travel to places that maybe, you never thought possible, you never thought imaginable. This could be a dream come true destination, right? This could be a destination where it's like, how the heck am I here? What? I never thought in a million years I'd be traveling all this way to be here. And you're just hit with like these huge realizations. So this could be very, very interesting for you, Cancer, if this is the case. Right. So the Mercury retrogrades. The Mercury retrogrades throughout the year are going to happen within your trinity of substance. Oh, just 2 seconds. So, Goddess Essence, thank you. Tai Chi, okay, great, thank you. And I'd never heard of the other ones, but I will look those up after. Thank you for sharing. Hey, that is another thing with Cancerians here with Jupiter and Gemini. Definitely, intuition. Your intuition could be very much heightened. Thank you so much, Goddess Essence, for sharing. And hey, Gemini love, you said that you've got your moon. It's in the 12th house. Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Okay, so as I was saying, Cancer, the Mercury retrogrades are going to be in your the houses of the trinity of substance. So looking at your 2nd house, your 6th house, and your 10th house. So what does this all suggest? It suggested that a lot is going to come through for you to do with your materials, your earnings, your services, right? Your services could, maybe be reviewed, especially with the Capricorn, Sagittarius. Okay, that would be more around the November retrograde, of course. But anyway, I just want to think about it more, the bigger picture overall. Yeah, I think there's going to be a lot that's going to change for you then to do with work and your everyday routines and habits and rituals and everything. But it's how these matters light you up. It's the passion, it's the drive, it's how motivated you feel, how inspired you feel, right? So yeah, I think there's going to be major sort of energy shifts that are going to come through, and these are going to happen due to some friendly reassessment. All right, so Leo, positive transits in your 12th as well, because your ascendant is 22 degrees in Gemini. Oh, okay. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for being so vocal, everyone in the chat. I love it. Hey, I feel that's very Jupiter and Gemini. Is it, I feel like that. With, getting people engaged and talking and everything. Right. So let's move on to Leo. Leo. Jupiter is going to transit your 11th house from May 2024 until June 2025. Oh, whoa. Okay. Leo. Leo. What I find interesting about the 11th is that it can tell us about fame. Now, I just want to say with fame, this doesn't have to be about being a movie star. It doesn't have to be about being an actress or, whatever. The fame could also be about maybe being recognized on social media. It could also be about being like really well known, like really popular amongst crowds within particular groups, being that person that everybody just notices and admires and likes. Well, I suppose then again with fame, that doesn't mean that everybody likes you, but anyway, I'm just saying that because I'm just thinking, yeah. Anyway, it's not all about the positive side of it, is it? I digress. For you, Leo, I think this is going to be so fun and enjoyable, and people actually knowing your name and people wanting to be around you. You also wanting to be a part of something that's bigger than you and being with the groups, with audiences, feeling just chatty and being extra social, being on the move, right? Just sort of weaving in and out of this group and that group. This can be great for your confidence. This can be great to really give you a healthy ego boost. And this could also be about you teaching, right? Teaching in front of audiences, public speaking. Really, this could be a great time for Leos for public speaking. This could be a great time to really get out there and use your voice and to share what you know, to engage in some lighthearted sort of play and entertainment, to put on a bit of a performance, honestly, right? To put on a bit of a performance, which is interesting. Because with you, Leo, you are the sign that is so much about performance and entertainment. This could be also quite a funny time, a time of just laughter and, as I was saying, playfulness within groups, amongst your friends, within communities, all of this type of stuff. And what I also want to say for this is the 11th house can be about other people's gains. So when other people sort of even give to us, and that doesn't have to be in a material way, that could be through other means, other measures. So basically, I think Jupiter is sort of like going to bless you in this way, bless you with other people's words of encouragement, other people's positivity, other people's inspiration. Yeah, making more friends, possibly. You could very well make more friends around this time period. It's like everyone's just coming to you, right? You're this magnet for new people, and you're all like, hey, right? Yeah, also great for networking. Yeah, great for even business stuff, right? Business, this type of stuff, if you think about the networking side of things. And great for really learning, right? So learning within clubs, within groups, maybe learning a new skill because, hey, you've joined a certain group or a club, and yeah, you learn something new via that group. Okay, so the Trinity of Energy is going to be activated via the retrogrades. So there will be the retrogrades throughout this transit. So the Trinity of Energy would be your first, your fifth, and your ninth houses. Very interesting indeed. Of course, there will be a Mercury retrograde in your sign coming up in August time. So indeed, a good time to revisit then your inspirations, higher education, further learning, these types of areas, revisiting then how you show up in terms of confidence and self-assurance, what you bring to audiences in this way. And even self-love, I think, could be a big part of this. Yeah, I think self-love could be a rather significant thing to consider, and feeling positive about your path and your direction. Yeah, these sort of themes, basically, I feel, are going to come up throughout the year. Okay, so Virgo next. Thank you for being here, by the way, everyone. Virgo, all right. Jupiter is going to transit your 10th house. Ooh. So this will be from May until June of 2025. All right. Let's think about this. Let's think about how, for one, the 10th house is so much about our reputation. It's so much about what we're known for, what people tend to see us as. It's also, I would say, more about the persona. It's not necessarily about who we are, in terms of our true selves. Unless, of course, there are certain significant planets that you have in the 10th house, such as the sun. But Yeah, it's more so about our purpose and our life's work and our vocation and our achievements and how these, things are sort of tied to us and what we become known for then essentially. So for Jupiter being in this house, yeah, this could very well be that, hey, Virgo, you are typically known for how much you educate, how much you investigate, how much you research and learn. You're known for being curious, you're known for being really chatty and versatile and figuring out the facts and persuading others with your words. And yeah, articulating yourselves. So Jupiter's going to come along and it's going to, boom, just expand on all of these qualities, these traits of yours, and could very well lead to you expanding your horizons too, right? So opportunities could come up. There could be a certain opportunity related to the research you've been doing, the investigation you've been doing, right? Someone could reach out to you, for example, and say, hey, you know what, we've got a podcast idea and we would love for you to be the face of it. Hey, no, how do I say this? I'm not hinting at anything there. No, I'm not hinting. I'm not hinting that it will be amazing to have a podcast and for someone to actually ask me to do it professionally. No, I'm not hinting at that at all. Anyway, I digress. I'm just being silly. Okay, so yes, this could be a thing though, or it could even be that you actually just decide to start a podcast of your own, Virgo, or you decide to start your own course. It could be a course, it could be a program, it could be that publications that you've already created. There could be a boom, right? There could be a boom in sales. Marketing could just expand, and all of a sudden, your name is out there, Virgo. Really, this could be a wonderful time for getting your name out there and having your face be known, essentially. Okay, so with the Mercury retrogrades, the trinity of emotions are going to be activated. So thinking about your 4th, 8th, and 12th houses, this one I feel is quite a sensitive one. I mean, already we've had this Mercury retrograde in Aries, and that's been in your 8th house, and you've got Chiron in your 8th house. So I think that's why I'm saying it's extra sensitive. But yeah, I think it's just another opportunity to revisit potential unresolved traumas, repressed emotions. Good time for healing, good time for going within. Seeing as well, how you can tap more into your inner child, how you can play more. Yeah, I think this is a good opportunity for you to sort of allow for greater joy and happiness, but more so from within, right? It's experiencing these things from within and recognizing that no amount of sort of material success can really make up for the amount of joy and pleasure that you experience on the inside, Virgo. Reality within. Awesome. You started your own YouTube channel. Awesome. Good for you. Great. Do you have Virgo? Do you have Virgo energy? Is that why you were sharing from the section for Virgo? Right. So I'm going to move on. I'm going on and on here. So Libra. Right, Libra. Jupiter is going to transit your 9th house. Your 9th house throughout the year. So from May 2024 until June 2025. Let's think about the 9th house. Publishing, teaching, broadcasting. These things are going to be expanded on then. Higher education, furthering yourself, exploration. Libra, I think this is a great time for you then to take on a new course, a new program, do some extra training, to travel, just to, to do all of the educational things, all of the intellectual things, and to really spread your wings, to spread your wings and fly. Yeah, this can be quite exciting, I think, for you, Libra, in this way, because I mean, hey, it's Jupiter, it's in the ninth, Jupiter with the ninth, that combination. And with it being in Gemini, yeah, there's going to be much expansion then to do with networking and to do with speaking to all the right people, making all the right sort of connections, and really getting your voice out there, being heard. Teaching could be a big thing here, where you're being a mentor, you're being a coach, you're being a public speaker, you're inspiring others with your words, and you're getting all of these experiences, right? Those experiences are going to last a lifetime. Libra, wonderful. Okay. With the Mercury retrograde, though, of course, these retrogrades are going to happen in your trinity of socializing. So thinking about your third, your seventh, and your 11th houses. So with these retrogrades, I think what will be activated for you, or what will be looked at, is that of, okay, how do you relate to other people? How do you sort of, see other people? How do you connect and see, okay, well, what can I learn from these people? And is it that, there are significant changes to do with friendships, and taking a closer look at friendships and communities and groups and teams, and even thinking more strongly about how you shine within these areas, how you're recognized within these areas. And at the same time, I think, of course, you've got that the Sagittarius energy in the third house for you. So that, of course, that retrograde too, that could be very useful for you in terms of greater education, the higher education, and also possibly there could be relocating in this way, right? There could be, and what I see from the Mercury retrograde in Sagittarius is more about you're thinking about it, right? Possibly, oh, I'm gonna visit that. I'm gonna take a good hard look at the potentials of moving here, or joining this program, or doing this or that, right? With retrogrades, it is more about reviewing and reassessing. Okay, Scorpio. So we've got Scorpio now. Let's see. Thank you so much for being here. I've been enjoying this style of horoscopes today. It's been enjoyable. It's been good. Radio. So Scorpio, here we go. Time. Scorpio, Jupiter is going to transit your 8th house. Ooh. The domain that you usually rule. Okay. I think for you, okay, so the Jupiter in Gemini transit will be from May 2024 until June 2025. This could be really fascinating for you in terms of, okay, it's time to really get stuck in to occult-like subjects, mystery, okay, these mysterious subjects that you love just soaking up, diving into. It's a good opportunity for you to even gain more knowledge, to gain more wisdom about the unknown, about what's hidden, about what's buried. Great time for investigating, researching, just digging deep into more knowledge, and to reinvent yourself in this way, to transform your mind. Your mind is just going to be so transformed during this time. It's like the way you think entering into this transit is going to be so different to the way you think exiting the transit. You're going to be like, who was that person? I can't believe I ever thought that. Wow, right? Because of course, Gemini reminds us that we're allowed to change our mind. The beauty that is Gemini, we learn that we can change our mind. And when we do, hey, we do not have to justify it. We don't have to justify it. We're allowed to change our minds. So this, I feel, is going to be huge for you And the eighth house also is so much about other people's money, other people's resources, our partner's money as well. So it could be that, your partner may sort of come into some extra money, or it could be that there's some sort of fortune or something quite successful happens. Of course, it doesn't just have to be money, it doesn't have to be about resources, but there could be something successful to do with communication, to do with teaching, and that's going to happen for your partner. But the beautiful thing about that is that can also be shared with you. It's like, hey, let's share in the success, let's celebrate, let's do this. Yeah, and also you could very well be blessed during this transit with healthy communication when it comes to intimacy, right? Intimacy, emotional vulnerability, opening up, sex. But the thing is, hey, did you know that the brain is our biggest sexual organ? It is our biggest sex organ. And so, of course, Gemini is so much about the brain, the mind. So for you, Scorpio, Jupiter here could indicate something very rewarding or an opportunity to do with sex. But that comes about because of the truthfulness, the honesty about emotional vulnerability and the effective ways of communication and connecting with others in an understanding way. I'm thinking about this and I'm like, yes, we love this for you, Scorpio. Okay, the Mercury retrogrades are going to happen in the trinity of substance. So this is going to be your second house, your sixth house, your 10th house. So this is going to be a year where you're also going to be reassessing, revisiting matters to do with success. Okay, how you're seen amongst the public, your reputation, what you become known for, celebrating your wins, celebrating your accomplishments and your achievements. Also thinking about, your services and what you provide, what you offer, what you also gain then financially, what you gain in terms of energy from other people, that exchange to do with the second house, these types of things. Yes, it is time to have a good, healthy, honest review of these areas within your life throughout the year. Okay, so Sagittarius, hey, Triple Emers, hello to you. Thank you so much. You said that you watched the Cancer reading. Awesome. Happy to hear it. Thank you for your feedback. I value your feedback so much. Helps me sort of engage. Am I on the right path? Am I doing things right here? Is it resonating? I really hope so. Okay. Sagittarius. Sagittarius. So, Jupiter is, of course, your chart ruler. Woohoo! So it's going to be in the opposite sign from you. So that's going to be in Gemini in your 7th house. Okay, so a couple of different things, there's different ways that this could go. It could sort of feel like during this transit that everybody else gets the opportunities, right? This is the thing, because it's in the opposite sign from you. Other people, it could be like, other people are getting opportunities. Other people are, having these networking opportunities, socializing opportunities, etc., etc. But it could also be where it's actually you being pretty proactive within these areas too. It's also being able to see where there is opportunity in other people's opportunities, if that makes sense. It's sort of this attitude of, hey, you know what? I'm feeling inspired. By this other person, and that inspires me to go after my goals, to do my thing, right? And that could be this sort of nice give and take, this nice balance, this nice harmony of, hey, we're in this together. Hey, it could very well be that some of you Sagittarians, you go the extra mile with a business partner, with a friend, with a lover. You could very well get engaged during this transit. Now, Of course, the reason why I'm saying this is because Jupiter can also be linked to that of marriage. And then, so come the seventh house looks at marriage. So there could be a case of, okay, some engagements, significant sort of weddings. But at the same time, just to say, the seventh house is also about divorce. It's also about endings of a relationship. But I want to mention about this is not about right or wrong. This is not about good or bad. Sometimes, you know what, when it comes to divorces and separations, it's like you've tried every possible thing. You've tried to talk about it. You've tried to go over it at the same time over and over and over. And it's like the message is just not getting through. And, it's not necessarily a super negative thing either, right? So all of this is to say that there could be this possibility of, with separations or endings, certain relationships ending. But the relationships, this is what I'm trying to get at, the relationships ending could be looked at through a more positive lens. Okay, you're sort of thinking about, oh, right, well, that was meant to be. Oh, okay, well, on to the next one. It's not meant for me. It won't pass me. This type of attitude. I'm saying this because this is the sort of mindset that you can typically have, Sagittarius. It's this whole thing of, okay, well, what will be, will be. But what I do want to just make you cautious of to do here is you can also be the sign that has this attitude of, well, the grass is always greener. I'll be happier when I get there, I'll be good. I'll be happy, striving for the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, right? And that's the whole thing about Jupiter. Jupiter can show up like this. Jupiter reminds us that just because we have more of something doesn't mean that it's better, doesn't mean that we're actually happy and we're fulfilled from within. So I think that Jupiter across from you, so to speak, is going to be so good for these lessons, so good in terms of what is being reflected back to you from others. The other thing about it is, I just want to mention this, the seventh house can also be about our competitors. It can be about open enemies. So, Jupiter and Gemini could be like, there are some competitors that people who oppose you that have that attitude, right? They have that grass is always greener attitude. And they're trying to sort of project that onto you. That could be another thing. And you can maybe sense that and you're like, not today, I don't want that. So, that could be a potentiality. But I think, if anything, because this is Gemini, this is all a learning process. It's not black and white, of course. And I also just think that in general, overall, you're going to learn so much from other people during this transit. It's like, let other people be your guide. You're used to being that person who guides other people, who inspires those around you, being a mentor. And yes, you're still going to be all of those things. I'm not saying to not be those things. But maybe, just maybe, Jupiter in the opposite sign from you is going to be a good opportunity for you to kind of step back and go, you teach me. Teach me. I want to learn from you. Right? And so it's having that kind of that feedback. But at the same time, because it is a give and take, it's seeing, okay, well, I'm opening myself up to those other opportunities. But then because you do, you then further experience more things as well. And it just kind of grows organically. It grows naturally. Right? Love it. We love this for you, Sagittarius. Right. So retrogrades. So Mercury retrograde throughout this transit will happen in your trinity of energy. So the first house, the fifth house, the ninth house. So this is big energy. This is like purpose. This is your life path. This is about your aims, your ambitions, your goals. What are you striving for? What do you want? This type of stuff. But then it's also about authenticity. It's also about truth, and it's about freedom, and it's about independence. And seeing as well how much you have already grown, because these are retrogrades. That retrograde energy is like, okay, I'm going to review this and I'm going to think about, oh my gosh, I have really learned so much about myself in terms of my confidence, my ego, how I express myself. This could be a really good, like a feel good time, a feel good time. Naturally, of course, we got to think about aspects because, you know, the trajectory of Jupiter is going to be influenced by different aspects as well throughout the year. And as I was saying at the beginning of this horoscope section, I will be talking more about aspects to Jupiter over on Patreon in daily forecasts. And I'm sure I'll talk about them at some point on here. Yay. All right. So let's move on to Capricorn now. Capricorn. So Jupiter is going to transit your 6th house throughout the year. So from May until June 2025. So I want to think about you having Gemini in the 6th. It's an interesting one. I've always found this to be very interesting about Capricorn because Capricorn is the sign that can be very consistent in its way of doing things. Triple lemurs, I know. But yes, Capricorn can be very persistent and consistent in the ways of doing things. There's a structure, right? There's a structure, there's a path, there's a build. But yeah, with Gemini is more versatile and flexible and isn't so stiff and rigid, let's just say. So to have Gemini in the 6th house, it suggests that when it comes to work, when it comes to your everyday routines, Capricorn, you actually can be a little bit scattered at times and you can be a little bit all over the place at times. But I also think that you can be quite good at multitasking. Now, I know people often say that there's no such thing as multitasking. There's no such thing as it. But I do think that Capricorn, what I'm trying to get at is that you tend to develop so many different skills. You tend to sort of dabble into so many different tasks and responsibilities. And you can be such curious people in this way. Naturally, however, this is also where we notice that Capricorn, you struggle asking for help. You would rather allow for the tasks and stuff, the commitments, the responsibilities, the obligations, the duties, all these things. You would allow for them to gather up. And then it gets to a point where you're like, oh my gosh, I can't think. I'm stressed, right? 6th house is so much about our stress levels. So you could just be up to here, like up to the top and full of just too many things. So Jupiter in the 6th, I think, can maybe highlight some of these frustrations, some of these stressful times that you gotta be cautious of. Be cautious of how much you're taking on. But Jupiter can also bless you in a lot of ways. It can maybe help you look at the bigger picture. It can help you take a step back and have a fair analysis of all of the things that you're taking on. And then what you can do is you can make an effective system, an effective process, or a schedule, whatever. You can make these things work for you. And the thing about the 6th house as well is it's so much about time management. This I find fascinating because Capricorns can be these types of people who it's almost like the day-to-day stuff flows so smoothly because of the time, the beat, okay, I'm doing this, okay, between here and here, got it. Between here and here, got it. And of course it's not so black and white. I understand you got to think about other planets in your 6th house, especially if you're born during that Uranus, Neptune, and Capricorn generation. I get it. But time management may be something that you're pretty skilled at and you're pretty knowledgeable about. And even if you're not, this could be a good transit to help you become knowledgeable, to help you make sense more of, okay, well, how can I have greater sort of effective time management skills, timekeeping skills, bookkeeping skills as well? How can I sort of effectively manage what I'm doing in my day to day so that I'm not burning out and I'm not putting myself under so much pressure? So this could be great for you in this way. But then as well, health could be a big part of this. Really wanting to investigate and gain more information about your health, especially if, for example, you are noticing maybe some issues to do with your nervous system, some issues to do with any anxieties, complications to do with your mental well-being. If there's anything that you sort of notice that will come up during this transit, I think at the same time, Jupiter says, hey, go off and find that knowledge, find the information to help you out. Speak to someone, ask for help, ask for support. Yeah, these things I think could be quite important for you. Now, the Mercury retrogrades will happen in the trinity of emotions for you. So thinking about your 4th house, your 8th house, and your 10th house. So whilst Jupiter is transiting your 6th house, throughout the year, what's also going to come up for you is that of, okay, emotional regulation. So much I think of this is about emotional regulation. It's interesting, because you tend to be this type of sign that can keep a lot in. Okay. Capricorns, you are such emotional people, but it's just that you keep a lot to yourself. You would rather just keep it in and not maybe burden other people. But I think that the retrogrades in these fire signs in the trinity of emotions, it's perhaps going to highlight good opportunities to really check in with yourself. And, it's just more so about how can you be more honest with yourself in terms of what you're potentially keeping in, what you're potentially struggling with, what you wish to share, but you don't because maybe there are some fears or there were issues in the past to do with such things. But I also see this as you being quite assertive and ambitious within the home, and also when it comes to unraveling your unconscious. Capricorns, you take the plunge. You are courageous, you're bold in this way, you're brave in this way to kind of go, hey, I notice this emotional pattern. I notice this emotional cycle. I mean, especially with Chiron being in Aries since 2018, you've really taken the time to turn inward. A lot of this is turning inward, taking a look at what is hidden and what is keeping you back from maybe moving forward or from feeling like your best. Okay, Aquarius next. Thank you for being here, everyone. We're close to the end. Aquarius, okay. Oh, I love this. I love this for you, Aquarius. I love it. So someone else actually mentioned this. I can't remember which video it was. It might have been the Taurus season horoscopes video, and someone was saying that they can't wait for it might have been the full moon in Scorpio video, actually. But yeah, they can't wait for this transit. Right. Jupiter in Gemini is going to transit your 5th house from June 2024 May 2024 until June 2025. So 5th house, let's think about 5th house stuff. 5th house is free time, right? Free time, holidays, vacations, what you do in your spare time, leisure activities, hobbies, enjoyment, play. Time to play, Aquarius. I love this for you. I think that this is the type of play, the type of just free time that you've been waiting for a long time. Really, I do. I think this is going to be really fun and enjoyable. And I think many Aquarians around this transit or during this transit, you're getting your spark back. You are getting your spark back to do with being creative, to do with being pretty funny and chatty and interesting and engaging and everything. What I love about Aquarian energy is that when it comes to learning, or especially learning about other people, you genuinely care. Like you will genuinely stop and have a decent, solid conversation with someone about their life, about what they're up to. It's that intrigue. It's the light in your eyes. It's the smile, the smile on your face as well whenever you are engaging in something that you genuinely enjoy, right? When you're passionate about something, when you're interested in something, which tends to be related to that of using the mind, that of using your intellect. But when you're passionate, oh, it's almost like you become giddy. It's almost like you become this sort of childlike, innocent person, and you have such an eagerness to want to share to want to share the information. It's like, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, oh my gosh, I saw this connection, I saw this little pattern, oh, I'm going to share it with other people. But it's the enjoyment. That's it. And I think that this is going to be a transit where you're going to be just embracing these parts of yourself and possibly taking some time to go on a holiday. I think this could be a great time period for you, Aquarius, to have some time off. Like, I mean, genuinely good quality time off. If you are an Aquarius who has been maybe overworking yourself, etc., it's also a good time period perhaps for you to maybe engage more within your romantic relationships in this way, right? There could be greater curiosity. Communication may also be really inspiring as well. Hey, it could very well be that some Aquarians, right, you feel inspired when it comes to, furthering your relationship and really wanting to maybe spend more time with your lovers in this way, and that could be a big part of the time off that you have. Hey, and another thing could very well be children. Children could be on your mind possibly during this transit. But overall, I think, and also if you do have children, maybe just making more time to spend with your children. But overall, I do see this as being a rather youthful, playful, playful, fun, celebratory transit for you. Celebrating your wins. Celebrating your wins, Aquarius. Right, so the retrogrades, the Mercury retrogrades are going to happen in your trinity of socializing. So that's going to be your third house, your seventh house, your 11th house. Ooh, the 11th house being activated, especially with Aquarius, you traditionally ruling the 11th. So yes, this could very well be a fair sort of reassessment, a review of how you engage, how you network, how you socialize, how you join in with other people, being a part of something that's bigger than yourself, being rather curious about other people's lives, and being even just inspired about the people that you're around, or inspired by them, and even just feeling really enthusiastic, right? Being enthusiastic through how you speak and how you communicate. But naturally, in this way, with Mercury being retrograde, it's about having just some time to slow down and to take a closer look at these areas. Oh, yes. Hi. So yeah, you said it was me. Oh, awesome. Thank you for sharing. I remembered you from last time. Love it. Love it. Okay, so we're going to move on to Pisces. Pisces. Oh, we got here. The transit is going to happen. So Jupiter in Gemini is going to transit your 4th house from May 2024 until June 2025. So let's think here. Let's think about how Pisces, how much you like to learn at home. I see this as many Pisceans having a little library, right? Having some nice bookshelf in their home. I see this as Pisceans staying up late on their computers because they're doing some research and they're learning something new. They're watching YouTube videos, or maybe they're still on the television because they're watching Netflix, they're watching their favorite shows, a documentary, a biography, whatever it is. But it could be that there's just always something like mentally stimulating for you, Pisces, within the home, and you like to kind of keep your mind engaged. You like to keep it on. But I also think that you come to learn that this isn't really like the healthiest thing for you, because you can sort of absorb information as well. I do think it is about how you balance that, or how you maybe sort of welcome the part of you that can be like that, but then to also recognize other parts of you that really just need silence and solitude, and to let go and to not be so consumed by all of the information. So Jupiter then coming into Gemini, honestly, it could be where these things that I mentioned about mental stimulation within the home and the researching and the learning, you could go overboard, right? I mean, Jupiter is one of your chart rulers. You could go overboard and you could maybe overdo it. So that would maybe be just like, I'm trying to say this with love, but to be cautious, to be mindful of what you're consuming and how much you're consuming. But what I will say is that this is also a great transit for deepening your understanding. I love this about Pisces, because Pisces, you often get known, you're known for being wise. I hear this all the time with people who have Pisces placements. They're always getting, oh, you're so wise for your age, you're so wise beyond your years. And I think it's a lot of that is because of what comes out of your, when you speak, what you say. It's like, wow, you were able to grasp such a complex topic or subject, and you were able to communicate it in such a beautiful way, and perhaps a really poetic way. But there really is a deeper understanding of information in this regard for you, Pisces. So to have Jupiter, then one of your chart rulers in Gemini, the research and the studying and the investigating you've been doing, this will be great for you to further deepen your understanding and to further yourself intellectually in this regard. Now, another possibility of this could be, could be moving, could be relocating. You could very well move homes, literally move homes, or this could be a matter of just bringing more intellectual things into the home. Just packing up your library, just filling it out with so many different books. Or this, hey, this could also be a situation of seeing what you want to clear out as well. That could be another potential thing, what you can sort of make space for, what you can make room for. Another possibility with this is, let's think about how the 4th house is about family. It's about home. So maybe some more trips to see family, but possibly traveling to go see family. This could literally be you traveling abroad to go and be connected with your family members. Or this could be a matter of certain family members coming to you, possibly living with you, moving in with you for a little bit. I don't know how you feel about that. That might not be such a good thing if you're listening to this. I'm sorry, but it's just a possibility. And another thing could also be that there's publishing that could happen within the home. So you think about how a lot of work today is done within the home. Many people do work from home now. So there could very well be something about you just publishing more from within your home and then getting sort of recognized in this way. The sort of media side of things could expand and could really increase and grow for you in this regard too. So that's interesting. And the last thing I want to mention is to do with the Mercury retrogrades. So the Mercury retrogrades, whilst this transit is happening, they're going to happen in your trinity of substance. So this is going to be your second house, your sixth house, and your 10th houses. Right. Pisces, whilst all of the family stuff is going on, it's also about then reassessing work matters, your earning potential, how much would you like to earn, or how much are you spending? What are your spending habits? Perhaps significant promotions could occur, significant changes within your career, within your vocation. There could be certain situations that you revisit then when it comes to these things. Or it could also be that you revisit certain co-worker relationships, colleagues, any conversations there with colleagues, and also thinking about advisors and supervisors and managers and stuff like this. Yeah, bosses could very well be a theme in terms of, all right, there's a certain conversation to be had. Maybe this conversation is more so it's more so linked to that of your aspirations and your sort of wider visions. You say that your sister wants to stay with you over the summer in New York as a travel. Oh, nice, cool. I'm assuming you've got the Pisces energy there. Love it. You know what? That sounds so beautiful. Sounds beautiful. All right. So thank you, everyone. That's us. We have talked about this Jupiter and Gemini transit. I wish you all the best during it. I'm so excited for everyone. I really hope that you are blessed by Jupiter in this way and that it goes really well. Now, of course, there are aspects we're going to be looking at throughout the year, but these are just some overviews of what could potentially unfold for you. Now, if you would like new videos early, ad-free, there's actually a video available right now. You can always become a patron by joining the Patreon. Daily forecasts are available over there, as well as so much more. But thank you so much to my patrons for all of your support. Thank you. Yes, Trouble Emergency said you're excited to catch up on the Patreon. Woohoo! Great. Thank you so much. And thank you for listening, everybody. You can book a reading with me by going to hannahselsewhere.com. And if you really did enjoy this live stream today, you can always buy me a coffee, but hey, there's no pressure. But that is me, everybody. Thank you so much. Thank you for being so engaging and sharing even your wisdom and your knowledge within the comments. I mean, I have also learned so much from you in the chat as well, and appreciate you for being here. And I wish you again all the best during this transit. Okay, well, with all that being said, I'm going to get going. Happy Wednesday, everybody. Bye.